if I can indulge everybody into my first real estate deal.
This is Elegant Homes with Don Reilly. Each week, get expert advice from Don Reilly that's straightforward, making sure you're not taken advantage of. Powered by CFI and by Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Elegant Homes. I'm your host, Don Reilly. We are heading into the summer, and we're honored to have a special guest with us today. Good friend of mine, been in the real estate business a long time, knows a lot about real estate, and I'd like to welcome to the show today Mr. Bill Dandrea. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Don, how are you doing?
Doing great. Welcome to Elegant Homes.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Well, you know, Bill, you're out there a lot in the homeowners' homes today, and you see a lot of these new style homes going on the market. You see some of the older homes. What are some of your favorite homes to sell? I know you talk a lot about some of these older homes in some of these pristine areas that you go to. Tell us a little about some of those homes that you really, really prefer selling out there.
Well, and you get into like Newport, the historical homes where the old wood is still there, the old staircases.
Yes.
They're just absolutely beautiful. But then, too, you could go out to Union and see these big, beautiful homes with the granite countertops, the beautiful bathrooms, just unbelievable.
And do you like the older homes versus the newer homes that you go into that built by some of these Dries and Fisher and some of those guys?
Today's society is looking more at the older homes. They want to go back into the inner city where they got walking distance, where back in my days of growing up, it was wanting to get more land. Now the people are back into the cities.
Wow. You know, and we previously were talking about the millenniums. The millenniums have kind of sprung up as some of the new home buyers out there. And I know a lot of people have told me in the industry that the millenniums don't buy properties. They don't spend money. You've come to tell me that's a different story.
That is totally wrong. Millennials are hot today. Matter of fact, they are well ahead of us realtors in knowing what properties they want to see. They are buying big, expensive homes, knowing that they're planning to live there. I really feel it used to be the average people would change houses about every 7 years. That has gone away. Now we're talking 10 to 15 years. And these people are usually now starting to go down, buy down less space now because they're getting older and they don't need as much property to live in.
And also, Bill, you know, in my 22 years in the home improvement industry, I'm seeing that these millenniums are a lot smarter. They're very educated, so they ask a lot of questions. Are you seeing that in the real estate market also?
Correct, and that comes out of what knowledge is in the computer and social media. You know, you could get into Facebook. A lot of these people watch that TLC, rehabbing their own homes. They into that, and that's what they look for.
And one of the things that's really hot that we've been getting a lot of calls at Elegant Home Exterior, we've been getting a lot of calls for decks this summer. Decks, people are really like to add those spacious spaces on the back of their home to add that curve appeal to the backyard, so have people that entertain a lot. Are you seeing that in the real estate industry where people are adding decks and room additions to the back of the home?
Well, they'll add the decks. They'll add sometimes a room addition. They looking for what they can get in value and get it back out of the resale value of the home. And decks it's definitely a resale value.
Wow.
It's a plus.
And I know your CEO, Mark, does things a little bit different in the market than most traditional real estate companies. Tell us a little bit about Pivot. What really sets you guys apart from other companies out there?
Well, when Mark started and developed Pivot, he called it Pivot because we do a totally 180 different than what a lot of other companies don't do. The first thing is he came up with a kind of a different style of commissions. One, if somebody is selling a house in the $150,000 to $200,000 range and is going to move up and buy a bigger house, we'll sell that property. We'll list that property for 3%.
Wow.
The 3% goes to whoever comes in and buys that property. But they have to guarantee when they buy their next house that they are going to work through us. So we would get our 3% when they buy their house. So that's where we would get paid. Basically, we doing it for free for the people. And you take a $200,000 house, that's a $6,000 savings.
Wow.
That they didn't have to pay, that they could use for their down payment or whatever they need on the next house.
Wow.
So that is one of the big things that Mark has created, and that is one of his philosophies, is we do that, and it's been very profitable.
Yeah, and you guys have kind of changed the game as far as the traditional real estate agent, too. From what I see, you're not bringing in what I call, the old traditional realtors. You're bringing in the guys that are green, right? I mean, new, you're kind of unique to Mark, right? Because you've been in the business a while, but he kind of brought you in because of your experience. But a lot of the guys that you guys are hiring are new green guys, right?
Correct. I mean, Pivot is, in their belief, is we want to train you and they work with you. I mean, it's a great office, great camaraderie. We don't deal with the gossip, and we all are friends. We work together. Where some of the other offices I've been in, they got nice out ready to stab you in the back.
Yeah. Well, and they kind of work against each other, right? Because they're all trying to make their own commissions.
Correct.
And so kind of like a lot of home improvement guys out there we know.
Yeah.
Cut your feet to spite your face. But we know you guys do a great job when it comes to taking that first-time home buyer and setting them up. And I know you sold some properties for me, and you do a great job. And one of the things I like is your model is just so unique compared to a lot of people out there. And that's why I wanted to have you on Elegant Homes today. I wanted people to hear this because you guys do things that are just totally bar changers in the game. Because a lot of realtors today, they don't think outside the box, but Pivot really thinks outside the box.
Correct. That they do.
Yep. And, some of the other things we're talking about, and Bill, you've probably seen this, is the summer coming. Everybody's temperatures are going up. And talk a little bit about heating and cooling the house. I know when you sell a house, is that some of the things people ask about is heating and cooling as far as what kind of units they have out there? I mean, is that a big question today, like insulation, R factors, those type of things?
In our business, we have what they have a seller disclosure. They fill out all the information about their particular house that they know.
Sure.
They sign it. But there it goes through the heating and air conditioning, how old it is. Some people will put new. Well, what's new? Did you put it in a year ago, 2 years ago, or did you just put it in yesterday? So the definition new, nobody knows. So that's why we have a date when it was put in. The seller disclosure goes through did you have leaks in the basement? Oh, only on heavy rains. Well, what's a heavy rain? So, I mean, these things are covered, and that is to protect the homeowner. And also, the buyer has the opportunity to get a whole home inspection, which we advise them to do that.
Sure.
Because why do they want to take a chance of buying something that they got a defect and they don't know it? We as realtors aren't inspectors. We may know a little bit, but we don't, But the home inspector goes in and they'll look and check every plug. Is it grounded? Is it, is the circuit right? They'll look at the electrical box. They'll look at the furnace. They'll pull up the age of the furnace. So there's a lot of things involved.
Well, and I know the new homeowners, that's very important to them because they're a first-time buyer. They don't understand the operations of the home. That this might be their first home. And I like that you guys kind of guide them down that path. You kind of take them down that path and you show them, if we do this, and this you're going to buy a solid house and a solid package. Talk a little bit about, and I noticed when I bought my first home 14, 15 years ago, these home warranties, these are a big deal today. I still actually have one on my new house that I bought. Talk a little bit about these home warranties. Do you guys offer that, or does it just come as a package, when they buy from Pivot?
No, it varies. Home warranties are one of the best things to have. I mean, the worst thing to do is go into a house and next thing you know, my air conditioner is gone or my refrigerator that I bought is gone. You know, $50, $75 deductible, your refrigerator's replaced or fixed. So it takes the cost out, the bite out of that first year. And you can renew those every year. So I personally have one on my house.
Yeah.
I got one on my daughter's house. So, yes, I think the home warranty is great.
The only bad part is the price goes up every year, but that's okay because it saves you some money if you have to use it.
Well, and it's just like typical insurance.
Yes. Yep. Well, you're listening to Elegant Homes. You're listening to Don Reilly, Bill Dandrea. We'll be right back. One of the things I like to talk about is my guys over at CFI. They are some of the best when it comes to carpet installation, linoleum, ceramic, maybe even you need that new tile or hardwood in your home. These guys are the best. I always recommend CFI because they do a quality installation and they always show up on time and they're always very courteous to me and my wife at our home. If you're looking for some of the best guys in the installation business, look no further than CFI. These guys are the best. You can reach them at cfiinstallation.com. Once again, that's cfiinstallation.com.
It's the Elegant Homes Podcast with Don Reilly, powered by CFI for all your flooring needs. CFI-installation.com and by Marshall Chevrolet in Carrollton, Kentucky.
So welcome back to Elegant Homes. I'm your host, Don Reilly, and we are honored to be sitting here with Pivot's best, Mr. Bill Dandrea. Bill, thanks again for being on the show today.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
No problem. It's always a pleasure. You just are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to real estate, and we enjoy having you on. But one of the things I want to talk to is a little bit about, it's a different market today, right? I mean, like we talked about earlier, traditional buyers, it doesn't exist, so it's a little bit different market. When you're reaching out there for inspectors, who do you look for? I mean, what are some of the inspectors that you go out after? I know you got a few that you work with on a consistent basis.
Most of the time, I'll give out the flyers of the inspectors that we have confidence in. But our biggest inspector that does a dynamite job for us is Pillar to Post.
Oh, wow.
They go step by step, and I just dealt with a lady over the last year and a half has had 9 inspections with Pillar to Post, and she instantly says they are the best.
Wow.
Because they walk you through each step. They tell you that this needs to be done. This is what, look at this, look at that. And then sometimes they'll even turn around and says, I'm going to test you. What did I just say? So they make it fun.
Sure.
One of the biggest things that we face in your business is what do you do for wind damage?
You talking about like storm damage?
Correct.
Well, today it's weird because we have a lot of storms right here in the tri-state area. There's a lot of storms that come through, and what's the first thing that happens? Some shingles blow off. They pick up the phone. They're calling you. Their roof's leaking. I'm sure you get a lot of those calls. So, of course, we got to send an emergency team out to do emergency repair, which would consist of sending a guy up on the roof and taking the tarp out and patching that roof just temporarily. And then we work with the real estate or the insurance company. So to get that roof, bought for that particular homeowner. And that's a big deal today because there's a lot of roofers who come from and out of state, and there's not a big trust factor when it comes to these guys. So if you're a local company, your shots of getting that roof are a lot better than the guy that's out of Toledo, Ohio, and he's staying in a hotel over here and fixing roofs in the area. So people don't like storm chasers, and I don't know if you see that in your industry or not. But
you see that all the time.
Yeah, so we try to assure the customer that you're dealing with a reputable company. And I always say something that's very important to us here at Elegant Homes, always check with your local BBB, Better Business Bureau, check with Angie's List, check out make sure you're dealing with a reputable contractor because there are what I call fly-by-nights in our business, let's face it. So we want to be known as a top shelf company. It's going to come out and do a great job for you. Just like Pivot, when you go into the real estate market, you're known as one of the guys that does a great job for the customer. We want to be known as a guy that comes out and does a good job on the roof. So, but back to your question, once we do that repair on that roof, then we'll identify the problem and we'll address it with the homeowner. Make sure that homeowner is looking at either a repair or a replacement. So, and if it's a repair, of course, we'll repair it. But sometimes the roofs are aged in this area because most of these homes around here, they're probably 1978. Of course, you get into some of these newer subdivisions, but a lot of the shingles are 15, 20, 30 years old. So a lot of times it ends up with a replacement. So, so we'll recommend replacement. But yeah, we always try to get out there and do that emergency repair really fast for the customer. So
That's great.
one of the things, Bill, too, I was going to ask you is when you're driving around and you're looking for that potential cut, how do you find your potential customer? I know, like myself, when I'm in a neighborhood doing a job for a customer, I'll kind of do a walk around. In the summertime, I'll walk around, look at some of the other homes, and I'll see they got damaged windows or siding. And I might, say, hey, I need to go talk to those folks. How do you, in the real estate industry, how do you find your potential client?
I'm kind of at a bigger advantage. I've been licensed since 1984. So I have a lot of referral business.
Sure.
Hopefully, I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
People, that's one of the biggest things that you ask for. But I have referral business. I work what they call expireds. And I'm very aggressive. Because I was back in 1984, I still do social media like everybody else does in the real estate business. But I still send mailers out. And people say, why do you spend on mailers? But the thing is, the older generation, my generation, don't use the computer.
Sure.
So that works at my advantage.
Yep.
And I just got a listing yesterday down in Falmouth, 11 acres, 3 fishing lakes,
Wow.
and campsites. And it hasn't sold. It's an expired. But was it advertised right? How did they market it? Did the realtor just stay on talking to them all the time? Most of these, I'm not trying to put realtors down, but
No.
most of them get a listing, and then the seller doesn't hear back from them until about 2 weeks before it's expired.
Wow.
And,
This is a problem in your industry.
Yes. My people hear from me every week or every other week. Because I tell them, we got X amount of hits on your property, and this is what I'm planning to do this week.
And I know this for a fact because you're selling a piece of property for me right now, and you call me and notify me. Actually, we're trying to put a bigger sign on. We just found out we can't do that.
Correct.
So it's great that you follow up with your customers because a lot of people in the industry don't. So
Right.
yeah, and it's amazing how many jobs I go to. And on average week, I might go to 20 to 30 home improvement estimates, and it's amazing how many people tell me, hey, we called so AYZ company. They set an appointment, never showed up. And the reason I'm going with you, Don, is because you actually showed up, you pulled out your tape, you measured my job, so that's pretty important. You got to show up, to get the job. So I'm sure in your industry, you hear the same war stories as you're out there.
All the time.
Yeah. So it's amazing. How does a realtor, get up in the morning, make his plan to work his plan, and don't show up? That makes, just like a home improvement guy. I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. So, but it happens. You see it. I see it. It's a big problem in our industry today. So guess what? The guys that show up and suit up, those are the guys that get the jobs, and that's why you're successful in the real estate business, and same here in the home improvement business.
Right.
So, well, Bill, is there anything in the real estate industry that you haven't done that you want to do? My last question before we wrap up with Mr. Dandrea today. Tell me, and I want you to think about this. Is there anything that you haven't done? I know you've done about everything in the real estate business since 1984. Is there anything that Bill Dandrea wants to do in the real estate market that he hasn't done yet? $1 million question.
No, basically everything I've done. I did want to be an auctioneer, but
Well, look, can I hear your best auctioneer?
hear what I hear.
There you go. That's great. That's great. There you go, folks. You might never hear that again. So.
Probably never will. But one thing I have to, if I can indulge everybody into my first real estate deal, if we got time.
Yeah.
I had a chance to list a 152-acre piece of land. There was a farm down in Union, Kentucky, and the guy had sheep on it. I showed it, had both sides of the deal, and everything went smoothly the day before we closed. And thunderstorm came. So the next day, the seller called me up and said, Bill, I can't sell it. I said, what do you mean? He says, all my sheep died. I said, please? Because the sheep were part of the deal.
Wow.
And I was getting paid this $1.6 million on the sheep and on his land. I said, boy, that's awful. You know, what happened? He says, I put them in the barn to be safe. Put a little bit of music on. Left them. I said, did the barn catch on fire? He says, no. I said, I just can't understand. How did they all die? And he finally said, I looked at him one more time. I says, what music did you play? You play rock and roll? He said, no. I played There'll Never Be Another You.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Dandrea from Pivot Realty. If you need, Bill, tell them your number out there. Let them know who you are and tell them your number so they can get a hold if they need any real estate services.
Bill Dandrea with Pivot Realty, 859-240-7692. One more time, 859-240-7692.
And Bill, what's your email address?
Bill at Pivot, P-I-V-O-T, Realty, REALTY.com.
And guys, don't miss another episode of Elegant Homes with Bill Dandrea at Pivot Realty. We want to thank you for listening today. Bill, it's been an honor to have you here. We're looking forward to you coming back to the show. And you guys have a great day. God bless you, and we'll see you next time on Elegant Homes. I'm Don Reilly. We're out.